Yo, honestly, you guys, I'm hella confused after that performance. I am hella confused after that performance because I guess what makes things just like so frustrating is that the football we saw today, the flowing movements, the wide rotations, the speed of our play, our build up, the one-touch play as well, it was all there on the show today. All there. Amazing performance. But one thing that keeps tarnishing our game too often is the lack of clinical finishing ability, and I think it's something that has to be addressed because it's quite obvious that we are a dominant team, but we are not dominating in front of goal, and that has to be addressed and that has to change. Because for me, considering that we're playing at home against Burnley, and you know what, I'm not going to be discrediting Burnley. These guys fought today, these guys defended for their lives. You guys saw the choreography when it came to their time wasting as well too. They came here to do a job, credit to them. And for me, maybe we were getting a bit too complacent with how easy it was to exploit them. And maybe that's no surprise. I think one of the big reasons behind why our game was so strong against Burnley today was, and it's not the first time we've done it against them, but it's how we constantly keep creating those wide overloads against them. In this game today, for me, the best player today was Reece James. Crazy that Burnley were giving him that time and space on the ball to put crosses inside the box. I mean, you're bound to get punished by doing that. And our wing backs were constantly stretching them throughout the entire game. Of course, their wide midfield players worked very hard. They couldn't close our wingers down at all. And we constantly had an extra man to just play through their press time and time again. This should have been one of the most obvious 3 points of the season. And the fact that we did not leave the game today with them is very disappointing. And I think for me, you guys know times like this, it's fair to criticize, but please understand, when I criticize, I'm not hating. I'm not here to prove that this guy's terrible and any bias or agendas. You guys, I don't have time for that. I'm too old for that. But I think one thing that I would like to see from Tuchel is for him to smell blood better. You know what I mean? Sniff blood, sniff that danger better. Near the end of the game, we saw some interesting substitutions, and I really feel like a lot of times the subs don't change the dynamics of the game, and I don't understand why, because we have players that can do that, and we have other systems we could use to try and force something. I mean, we're at home, final 10 minutes, Burnley just equalised. The first open play goal we've conceded this season came against Burnley. That tells you everything you need to know about just how fake this day was going to be. So to beat fakeness, you gotta smell that danger, have that instinct, be brave and go for it. I was seeing the wrong subs. I saw Mason Mount and Pulisic come on to do what? Pulisic, if he's gonna get his form back, he is not gonna get his form back during 10 minutes in which he has to make something happen because he needs more time. Hudson-Odoi today was at his creative best. Baffling that, he created 5 key passes today and not one goal involvement. Someone let Callum down. You know what I mean? We saw Barkely come off for Ruben Loftus-Cheek. We saw Jorginho stay on as well. Listen, no hate to Jorginho, but when games like this last 10 minutes, you know that you're not going to really get too much when it comes to creativity or passes or shots from outside the box or just that little different dynamic that, you want to try and put more pressure on a team like Burnley. In the end, all we saw was lots of panic shooting. Players trying to force things to happen, but our game kind of broke down and we weren't really creating as much against Burnley, and for me it's quite disappointing. And I just felt like potentially, can Thomas Tuchel maybe have a plan B for us in moments like this where we're at home? We are by far the dominant team. We dominated everything tactically today. In my opinion, I'm not saying I'm right. You guys, do you think I'm wrong? Very happy to read it, but in my opinion, I'm thinking, listen, I need to see a back four. We're taking off one of the centre backs. I'm taking off Thiago Silva. I'm leaving on Rudiger and Christensen. I'm taking off Jorginho. I'm having Kante dropping deeper. Just in this particular context, not for the season, context of this game, Kante's in midfield to snuff out those counter-attacks. Mount and Loftus-Cheek, Mount on the right-hand side to put crosses in. Everyone on the left-hand side where he can cut inside and take shots on goal because, he can't shoot from the right-hand side with his foot. And then, of course, I wouldn't have even brought on Pulisic because Hudson-Odoi would have had one final creative thing in him before he came off. And I just think that we kind of missed the ball here. And I don't know, it's not the first time that I feel like Tuchel doesn't really sniff blood like that and really go for it when sometimes we have to. It's the Premier League. It's random. It doesn't make sense all the time. We saw that today, so we can't fight illogical moments with logic. This obsession with remaining with a back three. The irony was that did it really stop anything when it came to stopping Burnley from creating on the counter-attack? Because on 2 occasions we saw efforts from Rodriguez and Vydra where, on the different occasions, they take advantage of their 1v1s. So, it's disappointing, you guys. Of course, it doesn't mean our season's over. It doesn't mean we're crap or anything like that. It's just that when we played so well today, it hurts me a little bit more knowing that we didn't get those deserved 3 points. But regardless, you guys, now I've got the negatives out of the way. Listen, this game was not dominated by negatives. There were still positives here. And, this is a good wake-up call to remind the team that, listen, we need to work on our finishing inside the books. We must work on that right now. We had some amazing opportunities to really seal this game. I think the biggest one came from Ross Barkely, and listen, Ross Barkely today was bright. Ross Barkely looked good, he looked creative, and he does have that in his locker. But in my honest opinion too, even though he was very good today, I personally still see him as a player that still has those limits. I think at times his decision making in the final third, he holds on the ball maybe a second too longer at times, and sometimes he can be way too individualistic, and he has to be. I get Ross's mindset mentality. He's always been ambitious. We saw that when he tried to take the penalty off Mason Mount. He wants to be in the first team. That's why Barkley's staying here. Let's get that right about the player. So no surprise that he wants to win these moments for the team, because that's going to boost his chances to get in the team. But I just think that, seeing the bigger picture, maybe playing, like, for example, instead of taking that shot, if you're going to take that shot, it has to be on target from that position. If not, you have to silence eventually while he was there. And I think that's maybe another thing that I noticed too. It does feel like with how we play, it feels like, for me, in my opinion, maybe the wing backs are getting in better scoring positions compared to our actual forwards and our attacking players. I think that's great because, tactically our game is about balance and stuff like that. But sometimes it can be overboard at times, man. And, for me, it was disappointing. Regardless though, Barkley I thought was bright. He was good, was inventive, shielded the ball well. I thought a few times, he picks the wrong pass at times. There were a few times on the break where, he's holding onto the ball longer than he had to, and he should have been releasing it earlier to teammates. But regardless, it was bright. And listen, I'm expecting even more from Barkley to come, because it looks like obviously he's looking confident right now. But of course, you guys, another standout moment for me, the standout player of the game was Reece James. Like I said earlier, it's kind of crazy to give a player like him all that license and space on the right hand side, and Burnley got punished because in that first half he put in an expert. And for me, I'm not going to gas across too much because listen, I'm not going to patronize. He should be putting across like that. I've seen him play enough times now. That's bread and butter. Great cross in the books to find Kai Havertz, who, as I tweeted earlier, I felt like row A when he got knocked into it earlier. They must have given him a little pep talk to just get him, just focus, because, we have seen Kai with, a few mad misses so far this season. But anyway, it was an expert header. We know Kai can do this, and let's hope that he can improve his finishing and composure, because if he can, we're looking at a serious player, you guys. But after that moment, you're thinking, it's going to be 2-3, 4-0 today. Maybe I'm being arrogant. Maybe you guys felt the same thing too. Let me know if you did, because I think the football on show today was just too saucy at times for that not to be the case. But again, when you're not serious, if you're complacent in any moment and don't seal the game off in this league, you are going to get punished. There was a few opportunities. We saw later in the second half, Kai Havertz, great play by Hudson-Odoi, plays the pass across goal to find Kai, and I think Kai just clips the post, and it's just like, this is where you must score from this position. If this is Man City or Liverpool, these opportunities go straight in the back of the net. And I feel like at times we have to create even more chances just to score the easy ones. And maybe that comes down to the lack of experience in the final third. Kai is still very young. Hudson-Odoi is very young as well too. I can understand that, as players get more experience, when they get more confidence in front of goal, then they can do that. But then at the same time, when I do see players taking like certain shots as well, I'm thinking, is the system at times necessarily helping them? Because let's say, for example, one thing I kept seeing a lot of times today was this particular move that was getting broken down, where whenever someone like maybe Kai Havertz received the ball in the half space or someone else, down that left hand side, every 1-2 with Ben Chilwell was just breaking down and not working. And I didn't feel it was Ben's fault because, the passing option just wasn't there. It felt like players making the wrong decision to begin with, to even move the ball to Ben Chilwell to pass it to him, because then, there was no spaces or gaps for him to do absolutely anything. And it's just like, that's not that great for me at times. There's a few times where I'm not seeing Kai in the books like I want him to be in. And it's just like, who are the options for players to pass the ball to or put crosses in the books for? I definitely feel like the system is ever so close to being like 100% just chemistry. You know what I mean? Where players fully understand each other's nuances and details in each other's games. I don't think we're far away from that. And I think the more we continue to play under Tuchel, we are going to see that, and that is going to work. But I do think that maybe we can help the team a bit more, maybe by just small little tweaks and details, And today, I would have loved to have seen players taking shots on their stronger foot. It felt like a lot of times guys who traditionally would cut inside to take shots were on the opposite side of the pitch today. And then, of course, all those opportunities can't come because those angles get closed off. There were times where I felt like we were overplaying slightly a little bit in the final third. Sometimes, you want a player to take responsibility and take that shot early and quick. It feels like at times we try to create the perfect goal, the perfect moment to take that shot, an opportunity, and it doesn't work like that all the time. You need that agency at times to take control in these situations and take responsibility and put that ball in the back of the net. I felt like we created too many good opportunities today to not get the win, and you just know that Tuchel is going to be very annoyed that the team did not come out with 3 points today, because I think nearly everything was done right until we conceded against Burnley, and then it felt like the players, maybe their mindset, they started to panic a bit more, forcing opportunities and things, and it felt like Tuchel as well I don't know, he wasn't as brave in my opinion, and he made pragmatic decisions that really weren't going to change the nature of our game against Burnley. But I don't know, you guys, it's interesting. Of course, as a fan, it's very easy to just have your hindsight hat on. I try not to do that. Part of me is feeling like if Ruben started this game today, with how he's been playing, that performance against Malmo, it's a bit surprising that maybe he didn't start the game. You know what I mean? Having Ruben and Kante against Burnley today could be interesting, or even just Jorginho, Ruben as well too. It feels like he creates great opportunities for us. It feels like every game he creates at least 1 or 2 clear-cut assist-worthy opportunities. And, that's not only him. That's players like Hudson-Odoi, that's players like Reece James. And again, goal involvements could be a lot higher for these guys, but it's the other players not finishing these opportunities and putting the ball in the back of the net. So you guys, on that note, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. Peculiar game today. With how I'm feeling right now, I'm still feeling a bit just baffled that we didn't win this game today, because this was still quite a positive performance as well. So you guys, share your thoughts and opinions. And on that note, I'm the EFC. This is Blue Lions TV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.